Okay. Please tell me a little bit about who you are, your name, and your age to start, and any additional information that you would use to describe yourself.
Okay, my name is Cynthia Ramsey. I am 52 years old. I am an African American mother of three and presently single and employed with a medical company. I've gone back to work and after a 20-year marriage, and that's about it.
Okay. If you were to fill in the blank I am, what a group affiliations would you use? And are there any important characteristics, values, or beliefs that are held by the groups that you identify with?
I am a born again child of God. That is paramount in my life. And if I had to associate affiliates, I'm an avid church member. In my church, I've been attending my church since 1995, so I have strong ties in that community. And yeah, that's about it.
Are there any other traits or adjectives that people might perceive when they see you, hear you speaking, or learn where you are from or where you are going that might lead them to categorize you as belonging to one or more specific group?
So I am not one to do a lot of public speaking, but when the need arises, I do speak my mind. And let's see, when someone sees me or hears me speaking, they might tend to say that I am, like I said, one of few words or soft spoken, or I'm more of a doer than a talker. So pleasant to be around. I try to get along with others, um, but sometimes that doesn't always work out. People have a different opinion of things, especially since I value my um, thoughts and my way of life in the church. So I just try to treat people like I want to be treated.
Okay. Do any of these identities that people assume for you put you in advantage or disadvantage in comparison to other people who have different identities imposed on them?
Sure, people have their own ideas about things, um, and we're not always in agreement with one another, and that's just human nature, and that's fine. But long as we can learn, um, especially like in workplaces or church places or in our families, to respect one another's space and ideas, and just because we don't think alike, don't mean that you don't deserve to be treated with respect. So I value, I I put a high value on that.
Okay. When you were growing up, were you ever told or did you ever have the impression that people who were like you in some capacity, sex, gender, sexuality, race, ethnicity, immigration status, disability, were different than some other group of people? If so, who would have told you these things? And do you remember your reaction?
Um, sure. I mean, that's life. Unfortunately, um, most of us are judged by the cover of our book, so to speak, and the people who enlightened me, or first enlightened me about these um, differences or indifferences in our society, were my parents or my grandparents or close loved ones. Things that I could and could not do. Like I said, I'm 52 years old, and so I came through a lot of segregated and bigoted um, social environments, and so it's just standard practice to preserve a healthy way of life or living at all. That there are things I could and couldn't do, places I could and could not go, or were not welcome to be in just by the color of my skin.
Mm. Can you tell me about a time in your life where you wished you looked different, felt different, were seen by society differently than you were, or fit into mainstream society more smoothly than you did?
Um, yes, there was, I guess, a big awareness. My first big awareness of prejudice and discrimination came when I was about 6 years old, and my family moved from a more poverty-stricken area, and we moved into a predominantly um, white middle-class neighborhood. And I was about 6 years old at the time, and I went to a different elementary school, and I was treated very unfairly by the students there. And that was in like the early 70s, because I did not look like them and I did not act like them. So I was forced to either try to make friends or fight. And so since I wasn't received as being a friend, I was forced to physically defend myself every day for a long time.
Mm. Have there have there been other specific instances that you felt like or that you knew that you were being discriminated against?
Absolutely. Um, just coming up through school and being in different social environments. I was an athlete in my young years. I played basketball, and so being on teams, girl teams, which was discriminatory in itself, but being the only black one on the team, there was a lot of problems and situations that came about that I had to deal with. My parents mentored me through. They didn't let me quit because of those things, because I did have a passion to play. So I had to learn how to use my words and stand up as a strong African American, even at a young age, and not fight so much. So there were learning tools taught.
Okay. Did you ever feel a toll on your mental health from the way you were treated by society?
No, I wouldn't say on my mental health. I mean, I didn't like it, and just I had to incorporate those growing pains with the norm of growing pains. So it was either I was going to pursue what I like to do in the areas that I like, whether it be in academics or sports or whatever I was doing. And I learned a lot of things at church too. I had a social group there also, so that helped strengthen me and let me know of more of awareness of who I was, and that I was not what the discriminating part of society told me that I was. So I learned to start standing on my own 2 feet and find out more and more about me. And I found out that I was very strong and I could take a lot more than I started out finding out. So it was empowering.
Okay. Can you tell me about what, if anything, has helped you develop a positive attitude about yourself in relation to your group identities, despite the indignities that you have faced?
Mm, like I said, a lot of my tests and trials throughout my life, so to speak, have helped me to grow stronger. I was a product of a blended family, and so um, there was a lot of fighting in my household amongst the estranged side of the parenting that didn't live in the household. So I, there was a lot of times where I stood alone um, in my family and out and at school. And so I learned I had to make a decision. Either I was going to cower and just let everything happen to me, or I was going to learn how to stand against it. And I wanted to learn how to do that without always having to physically fight. And so I started to read more. I started to um, be mentored more, like I said, by church and things like that. And so um, I just found a bigger awareness. There was something just bigger than me, and I really wanted to be a part of it.
Okay. What sort of advice would you have for individuals who are going through an experience similar to those you have described today to help them find strength to persevere?
I just say that, no man is an island. And by that I'm saying, things come up against you that just seem bigger than life. And whether you're young or old, you're not just expected to weather that alone. Um, there's no shame or harm in reaching out to the right person and asking for advice or help, or um, especially to someone who's been placed in your life and they're there for you, that you know that they're 100% there for you. There's no question too dumb, because somebody's always been down that road before you. And that advice on how they made it uh, can be extremely helpful to helping you to get to the next level of your life.
Okay. Do you feel your do you feel comfortable self-identifying as a group identity? Would you ever consider wearing a t-shirt to express your pride in your identity, or going to a rally or event that aims at celebrating that identity?
Sure, I absolutely would. I'm a total team player. If I've joined up with um, an organization, or being an employee, or supporting my kids. We wore jerseys to football games and wore t-shirts to team events at my job. Um, I wear uniforms when I'm on the usher board at my church. So when I am in, I am all in, 100%. I support. I support my decision.
Okay, yay! Your okay. In your experiences or perceptions, are there hierarchies that exist in American society that rank some groups above others? If yes, how do you know? How do you know?
Um, there's good and bad to that. I never liked. There's nothing wrong with being affiliated with a group, as long as they're moving in something positive and something bigger than themselves. So that combination has to be there for me, because I found out that if it is not, it becomes cliquish and very self-centered, and it becomes very petty. It's just a total decline and a total turnoff to me. So um, I support organization that I believe in the cause, but I don't feel I have a need to be there, or be amongst it if it's not going anywhere. or doing anything for the cause. You know, it just becomes a social club. And yeah, I'm kind of past that.
Hmm. Would you agree with the statement that America is a land of opportunity where anyone can succeed if they pull themselves up hard enough by their bootstraps?
Absolutely. Um, America is still the number one superpower as far as opportunity. You know, we have our problems and hangups and shortcomings and all that, but I would not want to live anywhere else. And you know, if anything's worth having, it's never easy, and it might take some time. You might have to take some different avenues to get there. You know, you might have to go off your map that you've made for yourself or your 5-point plan or whatever, but opportunities are always still there. So, most definitely.
Hmm. What are the most significant challenges that people who look like you face in pursuing their dreams or even leading their daily lives in the United States?
People who look like me and having opposition, unfortunately, like I said earlier, it's kind of redundant, but um, being a black female and of middle age, I am judged by my cover and decided is so, um, sometimes by my peers, sometimes not. And it takes a whole lot of proving otherwise that usually the perception that they first sight on scene is a negative one, as far as um, society judging me. So, and that's very unfortunate because it just takes, it's an uphill battle. You know, I'm just gonna be myself, and if they cannot accept that, then I think they're the one with the shortcoming.
Hmm. I agree as well. um, so I'm gonna ask you if you have any advice for the person or people that have treated you poorly based on the assumptions they have made about your group identity. Like, what have you learned so far from them?
I've been affiliated with a few groups just for my day to day and social and church and work, and so um, I'm not even gonna say give a person a chance, but don't stand in their way. You know, just because someone shows up and doesn't look like you and doesn't act like you, or don't pursue a project or an issue the way that you would, doesn't make them wrong. You know, step out of the way, and if that's an issue for you, and allow that person to try to flourish or explain or be productive in that situation. And if things fall off or don't go forward in a productive manner, help them out, you know, with a kind word or an suggestion or information, instruction. You know, don't be ready to pounce on them with an "I told you so." You know, you never know what a person is going through or what it took for them even to get to that point. You know, so we as human beings should be more mindful and show a little patience and love, you know, in that situation. And I'm not saying everybody rises to the occasion, you know, because some people are just there to get a free ride, and that'll show too, you know, but you can't just judge a book with just one look. You know, it has to be, and it's a group effort. You know, one person, um, I mean, one person is just not going to change a whole situation, especially if you're involved and you're a partaker of that community or that organization. or that social event or that job site or whatever it is. Everybody's got to do their part, and everybody doesn't get to the same place at the same time in the same manner because we're all individuals. And so we ought to, each one reach one, help each other out, be kind.
Regarding that question, do you have advice for those who do not perceive the barriers of sexism, racism, homophobia, and other discriminatory practices to be a problem in the United States?
I'm sorry, do I what?
Okay. Do you have advice for those who do not perceive the barriers of sexism, racism, homophobia, and other discriminatory practices to be a problem in the United States?
If you don't have to deal with any of that in your life, God bless you. Because it's in everyday living. I don't know where that place is, but if you live there, God bless you. But, for the rest of us who deal with that on a day-to-day, it's, there are all different kind of situations and personalities and problems and good things about everybody. So if that's not your thing, I'm not saying you have to let everything in your circle and you have to accept it all, because forcing somebody to accept things about you that don't agree with them is wrong too. Just like being discriminating, being a bigot is wrong. And so if that's not your cup of tea, then it just isn't. You just, doesn't mean you can't be friendly or treat somebody with respect because they live their life a certain way, or they look a certain way, or their work a certain, whatever. And so it doesn't mean that you don't have to be kind and show respect to another human being. So that's my advice. Be respectful of somebody else's time and space and just who they are. And, outside of committing a crime or hurting somebody, if they make certain choices for their life, let live and let live. If it's right or wrong, that's up to God.
Okay, before we end the interview here, is there anything else you would like to add in the interview? Any more questions?
No questions, and just for the young people, just stay strong, stay focused. We're living in a tough time, and there are all kind of things out there to try to sway your mind off of being productive. And I see so much in the younger generation. They don't want to work. They don't want to go to school. They don't have any dreams. They just want it all given to them for free. And nothing comes to a dreamer except a dream. So there's nothing wrong with having a dream, but step out in it and pursue, especially my daughter, what she came here to pursue. Get that education and move forward so you can move to the next level. Nothing worse than being stuck and dreaming.
Okay. That pretty much sums up the whole interview. Thank you for your patience.
You're very welcome.
And
I had a blast.
Okay. Have a nice one.
Thank you. Going home and go to bed now.
Okay.